Hey guys, what's up? My name is Jaelen, and I'm currently a freshman at Stanford studying data science. Today I'll be showing you guys just a brief overview about my application, how I got in, and hopefully you guys will take some advice or take some tips away about how you can improve your application as well. And before I begin, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more. So just a quick summary about me. I'm a Korean American born in the United States. My class size was about 500, and we were generally not too competitive of a school. I went to a typical suburban public school. One good thing about my school, however, was that we had a large selection of AP classes. We had the majority of AP classes available to us, and we did not have an IB curriculum. So just to go over my general stats, I had a 4.0 unweighted, and our school did a school ranking by decile, and I was top 10% and valedictorian. However, we also had multiple valedictorians that year. For my SAT, I took it once in August between my sophomore and junior year. I scored a 1540. I scored a 770 in math and a 770 in English, so it even split. And I studied around 4 hours that summer, so for June, July, and most of August. And I took the test around the end of August. So as for my APs, I took 13 APs throughout high school, and I'll just go over which APs I took in which year and my scores for those. So for my freshman year, I took AP Environmental Science. I scored a 5. In my sophomore year, I took AP World History, got a 5, and then I also took Physics and Seminar that year. I did not do well on either of those, and I scored a 3. For my junior year, I took 5 APs. I took AP Bio. I got a 4, Calc AB 5, US History 5, Psych 5, and Language 4. My senior year, I took 4 APs. I took Stats 5, Government 5, Calc BC 5, and Literature 5. And as for my other classes besides the AP ones, I'd say I just took the pretty typical required classes, just history, science classes, math, all of that. One thing that I took was orchestra. I took orchestra for all 4 years in high school. I would say it was pretty important to me just because my application was pretty humanities focused, and so that encompassed most of the arts, and so orchestra was just a good way of showing that on my application. And so it was important for me to take it throughout high school. For the foreign language requirement, I took 3 years of Spanish. I stopped taking Spanish after my sophomore year. And one unique class I took was creative writing. Again, I thought it fit in with the humanities theme of my application. But one really important reason that I took it was because I actually had, for the last 2 years before I took creative writing, I had the same English teacher. This was in sophomore and junior year. I had the same English teacher. And so in my senior year, the same teacher was going to teach creative writing. And so I saw it as a valuable opportunity to continue to maintain and also strengthen my relationship that I had with this teacher so that I could eventually ask him for my letter of recommendation in my senior year. And just about the letter of recommendation really quick, I feel like it's pretty looked over, but just talking with other people who got into Stanford, they had at least one faculty or teacher at their school that they had an extremely strong relationship with. And so in my case, I had this teacher for 3 years. We would talk after class all the time, and it helped that he was also an English teacher because it worked out with my humanities application. But you want some sort of person at the school who can really vouch for you and who you really have a deep connection with. And so next, I'll go over the activities that I had. For my first activity, it would be what most people call like the passion project. And for this activity, for your first activity, you want it to be kind of the culmination of your application. You want to have a lot of hours per week on this, and you want it to kind of be like the final milestone of your high school career, basically, and what it culminated in. For me, that was authoring a book. And so I'll just give you a short description of that activity. I put drafted, edited, and published novel selling on 14 platforms, including Apple Books and Barnes & Noble. And so for me here, one important thing was just quantifying kind of like the impact or the scope of my activity. I put selling on 14 platforms with the number 14 specifically, and also just mentioned 2 brand names, Apple Books and Barnes & Noble, to kind of give it a pop. And you really just want to dump hours when you're listing hours in the Common App. I was actually spending a couple hours every day for the end of my junior year, and I really ramped up the hours in the summer between my junior and senior year. So in total, I put around 30 to 40 hours per week for 16 weeks for this activity, so just a lot. Second, I put team captain of the swim team. So from the description, I put 4 times varsity team, led socials, organized communication, planned fundraisers, 3 times districts, 2 times state, 7th at state. And so right here, I guess what to take away from this is you really want to hammer out on using those action verbs. Just you never want to do full sentences. You don't have a lot of characters to write these, so just use short. Like for my action verbs here, I put led, organized, and planned, just simple ones like that. And also just again quantified just what I did in the activity as well. For my next one, I put my journalism internship. I interned at a news company where I was writing articles, but you want to keep in mind that these admission officers, they read thousands of applications throughout the process, and so just you want to, like, everyone knows what a journalism internship would look like. Kind of want to make it fun to read in any way possible. So for my description, I put shadowed local newsroom, interviewed a local Jeopardy contestant in the area, listened in on police scanners, and co-wrote articles that became published in the magazine. So here, it was nothing crazy, but just wanted to add just specific interesting events that I thought would be fun to read for the AO. For my 4th activity, I put my instrument, cello. I played cello for 7 years, starting in middle school, and I was part of a solo and ensemble, and so I put that as well. But the activity just really fit in with the humanities theme of my application. So for my 5th activity, I put head writer of my school newspaper. For the description, managed a team of 15 writers, published multiple pieces on local culture, wrote piece on high school wrestler that also got published in City magazine. And so there again, just I want to quantify 15 writers in specific, and you just want to add those action verbs like published, just other things like that. Just add like little side bits of information about what happened in those activities as well. So for my 6th activity, I actually put a college class. It was a short story writing class. I put enrolled in UW short story writing class to improve narrative writing in preparation for novel drafting later that year. Wrote 10 plus short stories. And so I'm pretty sure on Common App, when I applied at least, you're not supposed to put your college classes in as an activity. But I kind of just ignored that and put it anyways. I feel like that the class was really important to me. It took up a lot of my time, and also when you put it in the education section, it's just listed as a single line of as just a class. I really thought it was important that I explained in the description why I took the class, and in my case, it was to prepare for my novel drafting. And just quantify what I did, which was write 10 stories in that class. I feel that the impact of that activity gets really lost if you just put it as just a class in the education section. So my advice would be to take a college class that's related to the focus of your major or whatever you're trying to show passion for, and then really quantify and explain why you took that class as an activity to really give it more impact. My 7th activity was community service. I was mentoring at an elementary school, kids aged 7 through 11, helping them develop social and communication skills through one-on-one conversational and recess activity. My next activity was also community service. I was accepted onto my city government's youth board, and I worked to run local events, organize programs, and promote service and volunteering. For my 9th activity, I used to be on a club swim team. However, I put this activity pretty low just because I only did the first 2.5 years of high school. And so because I discontinued it, obviously I can't put it any higher. But I was swimming around close to 20 hours a week almost. And so still a big part of my high school. I put swam in an intensive training program, taught me discipline, work ethic, teamwork, and competitive attitude. Qualified for Northwest Age Group Regionals. And let me go to my last activity. My last activity was being a media discussion leader. I hosted an online chat room with dozens of members to discuss film, music, and literature during COVID quarantine. Led me to expand my artistic palette and taste. And so, just to kind of conclude on some final thoughts, I know just listening to the activities, it feels kind of patchy. You feel like you have a general sense of what I did, but I don't feel like there's too much of a narrative, and that's because you're not supposed to know everything just from the activities. I think obviously the extracurriculars are really they're really important. Like, you need solid extracurriculars and kind of a focus on them to get into at least Stanford. But how I like to think about it is your activities are kind of like the rocks. They're the foundation of your application. They're very important. Without solid extracurriculars, your application won't be successful. But I'd say that essays are probably more important than your activities. I see the essays are like the thread that will connect all your activities, the classes you take, all the other stuff on your application into a single cohesive narrative. And that narrative is what will get you into whatever school you're trying to apply for. And so just some general tips on the essays. For mine, really hammered in on the humanities. I talked about what got me interested into the humanities, how it's affected just my life since I was young, and I never mentioned any of the activities. You really want to try to avoid mentioning activities on your essays. The admissions officers also already seen them on your activities, so for every for every prompt that you answer, you want to have a very solid story, a very solid anecdote that will demonstrate your interest and explain why you did these activities, rather than just kind of show off the activities that are already listed. So that's basically all I have for you guys. That was an overview of my application. Thank you guys for listening, and like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you want more content. Thank you.